as soon as we get into the Q&A, and if we don't have enough time, of course, we'll do it later on. Just before we get started, and joining me will be some people from Swizznet, including Mandy Cosby, Bob Hollander, and Sam. But just before switching over, I wanted to explain why we chose this topic today. And there's really two reasons. One is that we've been getting a lot of requests lately, especially since it became mandated that most employees would work from home. And also because Sage is not doing the best of job explaining their products, and there's some confusion out there that hopefully I'm going to clear up once and for all. Sage 300C, the C stands for cloud, but it should stand for cloud enable, which really means that there's three ways you can run your application within an organization. The vast majority of our clients are using the on-premise approach, meaning that the software, in this case, we're of course talking about Sage, is on a server within the organization, and it is maintained by your internal or outsourced resources. The second approach is to host your Sage outside of your environment and have external people manage it for you. This could be a local web developer, maybe your brother-in-law who's got a small accounting firm, or a company that specializes in offering these services. Of course, as you can guess, there's going to be a significant range of expertise with this approach. And the third approach is to rely on an outside of your environment and have external people manage it for you to house your environment offering these services. And your system is therefore available anywhere in the world on a fully redundant platform that provides maximum accessibility and uptime. So we've asked Swizznet today to join us and explain their offering to the market, but also identify for us the questions that we should be asking to help you decide if this approach is actually beneficial for your organization. So I'm going to turn it over to Bob Hollander from Swizznet. He's the president, and he's going to open this presentation, and I'm going to make him the presenter. And there we go. Are you good on sharing your screen, Bob?
Thanks very much. Let me go into presentation.
Really not that great.
Are you seeing one screen? Enter. So we're glad to join with you today and share a little bit about Swizznet and how we're delivering that kind of technology. Definitely, we are encountering this being the new normal. There's an article in Forbes just last week, 2 weeks back, saying that a lot of what we're encountering today with COVID and the need for social distancing and work from home is going to be with us for a long time to come, even as our economies reopen. So timely topic, and certainly enabling a lot of folks to have strategic conversations about where they want to go. Here's our agenda. We'll quickly cover off on who Swizznet is. Some of you know. We'll talk a little bit about that new normal. And then we will show you patently how Sage works in the clouds, in a hosted format, just as Michelle explained. We'll highlight a little bit about our rapid deployment service that's proven very, very important lately as folks are making a mad dash to enable remote access. And then we'll demo the solution. That's one thing Swizznet is always very keen on. All of our customers always see and experience the technology before consuming it, so you can get a feel for exactly what the experience is going to be. And that'll be through our demonstration by Sam. And then Mandy will talk a little bit about some of our client experience. All right. So a bit about Swizznet. I know that DNA has been around since 1993. We've been around not quite as long, but we were founded back in 2007 by CPAs with the idea that we needed to deliver high-end cloud-based solutions, cloud platforms in the accounting space so that folks could collaborate and do their critical application around accounting from anywhere and in a collaborative fashion. So we've been around since 2007, partnered with Sage since 2014. We are a DPP partner, a development. We're in the development partner program with Sage, and we collaborate. It's been weekly with Sage on testing solutions, new versions, client integrations, software integrations, ensuring that we've got a quality hosted solution for the entire Sage suite. That involves a lot of joint ongoing testing and partnering around releases. Consequently, today we do have a turnkey cloud solution for all of the Sage desktop products, and we host literally thousands of users on Sage 100 ERP, 300 ERP, the construction suite as well. So a little bit about our technology. All of our technology is enterprise grade, especially our security portfolio. We've gone out and acquired the best partners, the best technology, so that we can scale high-end solutions for our customers. There's definitely other levels of offer out in the market today, but Swizznet has chosen a high-end, high-touch, high-quality enterprise-grade platform so that our customers can really turn over responsibility of the infrastructure and really leverage the platform for consumption and not necessarily have to worry about managing it. Today, our clients choose from private cloud solutions, Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud. We've got 7 clouds that our customers choose from today. We've got multiple redundant diverse options for our clients. We have Canadian deployments in Azure. We have Canadian users deploying in the US. We offer two core main levels of service. Our standard, which is backup rich and high compliant, but also platinum offering that provides true disaster recovery so that you can fail over to a second data center should there be a problem with a first data center or the first instance installed. We have HIPAA compliant services. Our vendors offer SOC 1 and SOC 2 compliant. We are very careful about that. We want to make sure that the platforms that we're landing your workloads in are in high compliant environments. All of our services are also PCI compliant for safeguarding of credit card information. And you can see a number of our technology partners on this slide. So just highlighting that we're all about enterprise grade technology. Michelle explained a little bit about the new normal and where people have been hosting their application. He described that first standard model, and it's been previously the default model for small, medium, and large enterprises for years. And that's that corporate model where you acquire software and you host it on site at your location, at your corporate office, your corporate data center, or maybe in the business park you operate on a server, PCs, whatever you happen to have. That's the old school traditional model, and you gain access through a LAN attached desktop workstation. So very, very traditional. More recently, over the last really 10 plus years, you see a lot of enterprises, small and large, embracing hybrid models. You're going to have technology that's still on-prem at your location, but more and more companies are leveraging cloud-based services like SaaS, hosted applications, and consequently leveraging third-party support for those applications and using remote access. That's really been the go-to-market for most enterprises for the last 10 years. And the scales have been tipping more and more towards cloud-powered applications for remote access. That's really just mushroomed and changed to a complete focus right now, the new normal, on gaining access from home or remote locations. So while that hybrid model is just a great default model, the need for access is trumping the importance of where the application's loaded, how you manage it. Your employees just plain need access 24/7 from anywhere and from any device. We've sent our employees home. We don't know what kind of devices they have at home oftentimes. Maybe we didn't send them with a laptop. Maybe they've got a pad. Maybe it's a Mac. Who knows what it is? But the mission is now to get people online and have access to their critical applications. Sage being obviously the most important one we're talking about today. That's the new normal. Access, remote access is trumping location and really driving strategy for a lot of IT departments and a lot of customers today. So how does it work? We'll show you literally right here on this slide how it works. We know that the traditional model is you take your Sage 100C, 300C, and you host it at your HQ. We've just highlighted that Swizznet operates highly compliant cloud data centers around North America. We take your same application that you've been running and we locate that in the cloud. So we're not going to change the software interface. You're not going to go to a SaaS version. That same familiar software technology is going to be located in the cloud. Sam's going to show that to you. All of our data centers are powered with remote desktop services that, when connected to remote devices, enables a local experience, enables that Sage experience that you're having in the office now on these remote devices. It involves installing this remote desktop technology on the remote device. Once installed, it can then connect to our data center and provide that 24/7 access from anywhere. It's that simple. Your Sage application made available on remote devices. Again, it's going to be very familiar to your users because you're not changing software. All that technology is delivered in our secure, redundant data center. Again, it's enterprise class security. You're going to find that these data centers, our technology, rival the technology that you can have in your own data center. With SOC compliance, redundant access, scalable architecture, we should demonstrate as good security or better, and as good or better uptime and connectivity than you could build yourself. Why? This is all we do. We've got over 3,000 clients, thousands upon thousands of users associated with those clients. So we've got scale and the ability to afford the best technology. We do want to highlight that after locating your Sage software in the cloud, there are still 3 different ways to access that software. We can make it so that folks click on a remote application and they're in. We can give them a second full desktop and away they go. They can choose the software, have access to server information and files. And then we also have an HTML5, meaning they could just log in through the web. Sam will explain that, but maybe you don't even have your own device and you need access to Sage from somebody else's device over the web. That's available as well. So that's the synopsis. Once installed in the cloud, you'll have anytime, anywhere access on really any device. Even phones and tablets. You can integrate the same applications that you're accustomed to. Maybe it's billing applications, time and attendance, other technologies that you've built in and leverage with Sage. Those can be loaded on the same system. It's going to end up a tailored environment. And then rest assured, we deliver a high uptime capability with this 99.95% SLA. Our servers are just up all the time. And then there are options for additional security, disaster recovery, and high compliance. I said it's important to highlight rapid deployment services. In the last 3 weeks, we've had 70 inquiries. I think it's over 70 inquiries from Sage users wanting to move to the cloud. They love their Sage software, but they need it in the cloud and they need remote access. So over 70 inquiries in just the last 3 weeks. Consequently, we're leveraging our rapid deployment service to turn folks up quickly. We will team with DNA, who knows your business better than anybody, to arrange a migration, a quick migration to the cloud. We provide an interactive consultation. We've got experts in Sage, just like DNA does, so that we can make sure that we land your software with the proper amount of infrastructure, capacity, storage, RAM, all the kinds of things you'll need to ensure a quality experience. Most servers are provisioned by us and ready within a day or so. That means we can complete a migration with DNA in a couple days for our customer, 2 to 3 days, and we'll even give you an example of that. Once online, we support your access. You've got 24/7 support and training from us on how to use the application. We'll make sure your users get trained and know how to access the system. We're available for follow-up calls. We'll do the monitoring and the management, and we'll reduce your IT headaches. Now, hosting is an alternative to running it yourself. We've got an ROI calculator, and our customers always test, is it more economical to run on Swizznet or run by myself? We've got an ROI calculator, like I mentioned, on our website. You're free to check that. But a lot of our customers experience about a 40% savings versus do it yourself. Now, if you're a very large organization and you got data centers all over the planet and you've got a big IT team, there's a chance you can do it as economically as we can do it. But if not, generally speaking, after you take into the account of buying servers, the maintenance of those servers, building out terminal servers for remote access, paying for all the licenses associated with giving people access, we generally save our customers around 40%. Sometimes it's 30, sometimes it's 50. It all depends on what the client environment is like. With that, I want to hand it over to Sam, who's going to do a live demo. Sam?
Great, thanks, Bobby. I just requested presenter access. I'll wait for Mike to turn that over. And there we go. There we go. There we go. Thank you very much. So I want to highlight a couple of the things that you just mentioned, Bob. And so one of the really important factors is that the user experience doesn't really change from what they're used to seeing in their office. So it's not going to be a slow, clunky remote solution that you might have some experience with. It's not a VPN. It's not a log me in kind of solution. It's just a small client that gets installed. So on my screen, you should see this little cloud workspace client. And so this is it. This is what gets installed. This is my local workstation. It's not a remote box. And when I head out to applications, this is where I can launch that Sage 300. And it's going to launch here as a published app that looks and feels like it's installed locally. Oops. Get my password right. And one of the nice features for these remote apps is that when you maximize the application in the window, it takes up the whole thing. You're not restricted by that remote desktop window that you might have seen before that takes over a portion of the screen. You can also drag that off. You can use multiple monitors with this environment. You're not going to be stuck in a single window. So it really does give you that true native experience that you're used to using at the office. There's also that nice file share, so you and your team can share documents back and forth. So you'll have a shared drive on the server here that we can help set up security groups for. So if you have a team that has a file structure that you need, but maybe the permission levels are different for the various users, we can set that up so that the users just have access to the file folders that they need on the server. And there's also local drive access. So this is nice if you're creating a report, you want to save it down to your local C drive to manipulate it or save it out on some additional storage, or if you have a mapped network drive, everything's going to work the same way it does with an on-premise installation. It's just being delivered from the cloud so that you no longer have to worry about, are the security patches being installed in a timely manner? Is there someone monitoring the server's performance and looking out for security threats and managing all of that for you in the background so that you can really just focus on running your business? So that's part of what we're doing. There's also a workspace option. So when we were here, we clicked on applications and got here, but there's also a workspace. Bob mentioned there's 3 ways to get to the applications. Workspace would take you out to that full remote desktop. Some people do prefer that look and feel. And then the third way is just through a browser. So this is great if you're maybe away from your laptop where you usually work, or for some reason you just need to pop on to someone else's computer and access your Sage data in a nice, safe, secure way. When you log in, it brings you what looks like a desktop within a browser tab. And when you launch these applications, they stay in this window. So if I maximize this, you'll see it stays right there in that browser tab. But it's going to give you all of that same functionality that you need in terms of using your software, pulling up reports and things like that. And then we also like to make sure that our clients are empowered with administrative controls over their server the same way they would with an on-premise solution. So you do have this really robust Cloud Jumper backend where you are able to do some nice things like pull some reports like a user activity report. You can see who's logging in, when, and for how long. You can run a file audit if you want to see who's adding, removing, or changing files. All of that's available to you by date. And then, of course, you can get on to the server at the admin level. And so this just opens up a new tab in the browser, brings you right to the server at the administrative level. So if you want to check on real-time resource utilization, or you needed to boot someone off the server, maybe they didn't log out of Sage, maybe they just hit the X and their session got stuck. Again, our support's available 24/7, so we're happy to take care of that. But like I said, we want to make sure you're empowered. All of our clients are empowered with administrative controls, so we do provide all of that. Mandy, I will turn it over to you. You may need.
And you can give it to Bob if you want. He has the presentation.
I'll give it to Bob.
Bring it back up.
Bob
Yep.
can take it. Yep.
Okay.
I'm just sending it back to you, Bob.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Sam. Mandy?
Sure, get that fast. Go to the next slide. Here we go. So the last thing that we want to share with you guys today is an actual story that a client faced about 3 weeks ago. It's really kind of been a common theme, like Bob mentioned, with all the stay-at-home restrictions and some of the other announcements over the past, month and a half, 6-7 weeks. So this customer, the challenge was really, with everything going around with the COVID stuff, they had concerns on the health and safety of their workforce. That was kind of first and foremost in their mind. And then really providing that continued service and support to their clients. So they had to have their employees healthy and safe in order to provide that support. But then how did they do that? And then with all those restrictions, they really needed help on getting to a remote workforce. So they still had, this company still had people that were only able to work in the office because they couldn't access the Sage software and the applications remotely. They did have a few that were able to do that, but the whole company was not set up to work remotely. So they were really just overwhelmed on how to make a move and maintain that business continuity. They were really concerned about how long was this going to take, how are we going to make that move, and what that was going to look like. So the results of the experience really was we had them set up and running within 3 days. So they called in on a Tuesday morning. We really educated them on the service and gave them a demonstration on the look and feel, just like Sam did today. And then we had pricing to them shortly after that. So really by Tuesday afternoon, all that was completed. And from there, they really reviewed that internally. They placed the order later that night. And then on Wednesday morning, the server was set up and handed over to the partner, so where the partner could do the installation and migration. So the whole experience was really completed in that 3 days. So it got them up and running. They didn't miss a beat. They were able to use their current software the way they were using it as they were doing the migration and getting everything over. So it was just kind of a seamless experience for that client. So it had that same look and feel that Sam showed, and then on top of that, they got that 24/7 by 365 US-based obsessive support. So very secure, fast, reliable environment, and then they had that business continuity, peace of mind. So this is very common with what we're seeing in the market. They're just like scared on how to make it work, scared on how to get there, think it's going to take a long time, think it's going to be a big learning curve to get them moved over. But it's rather quick and painless for that customer, and they're up and running. So that's it for our presentation. I don't know, Mike or Will, if you had any questions, but this is for if you guys have any more questions or need any information, both Mike and Will's contact information is located on this slide. And we'll take any questions at this time that you guys might have.
I do have a few actually that came in, but you've covered maybe just requalify. I think you've covered, so moving over quickly to the cloud, you're suggesting is usually within a couple of days, 2-3 days?
Yeah, we typically can get everything once that order is placed. We spin up that server really quickly, usually within a day, and we'll pass that over for you guys to DNA in order for the install and migration. So we can move pretty quickly. It takes a little bit longer if it's a little bit more complex. It could be a day, day and a half, but then it's moved over to you guys to DNA, and they do the migration and install. So it can be, I'd say, anywhere from 3 days to a week to get them up and going.
And certainly we would consider, if you're running an older version of Sage, to consider migrating to a supported current version so that you take advantage of the new features and new modules within Sage, of course. Next questions came in a couple of times. Commitment. What if I just wanted to do this until we're back to normal and then return to an on-premise? Is there a commitment there?
Sam, do you want to walk through that? We have both. I can do that for you guys. We have where we can do month to month, and then we also have contracts as well. Depends on what kind of service you're looking at, but we can definitely, if they're looking for more of a month to month where they're no contracts are involved, we absolutely can do that as well.
Okay. Can somebody cover again the backups? How often they're done? How they're available?
Yeah, absolutely. Mandy, do you want me to cover that?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So we're backing up automatically nightly. Those nightly backups are retained for 30 days, and we're also taking server snapshots nightly, and we're retaining those for 7 days. And those backup and snapshots are kept off-site, so not in the primary data center. A follow-up to that, we often here is, where are the data centers located? And so we have, like Bob mentioned, we have deployment options in both the US and Canada. If you opt for a Canadian deployment, those data centers, the primary data center region for Azure is the central region, so it's in Toronto, and the disaster recovery or backup site is the eastern region in Quebec.
Excellent. You mentioned an ROI calculator on your website. I wonder if you could provide that to us, and we'll include it in the recording with the notes that will be on our website, because that's probably something that would be useful.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get that over to you. The ROI calculator is in US dollars, so it might require a little bit of conversion there to get a sense for it, but we'll certainly include that.
Okay. I've got 2 more questions that came in. One is the types of users and the different accesses available, whether it's an apps view, a workspace view, a web view to run their system. Any suggestions or pros and cons of each?
Definitely. So all 3 are baked in, and it purely comes down to user preference. There is a couple of cons to using the web view, which is that if you need to print to a local printer, you will have to go through the printer redirect that's built in there. So it's 1 extra click. And the other con to using the web view is that you do not have local drive access. So if you wanted to save something down to your local machine out of Sage, you would not have that capability either. Other than that, it's going to have the full functionality.
Okay. Of course, there's a question of pricing, and I know that you guys based the pricing on the number of users. It's important to know what software the client will need, whether they just need Sage or they also need Office 365, Excel, SQL. Any comments on that?
Yeah, that's a great point. So it is, each environment is fully customized to meet each client's unique needs. We're happy to get pricing proposals together so that clients can evaluate cost, but it will be based on a number of factors like server resources that are needed with our to run the different applications. If we're, let's say for instance, clients running Sage 300 and maybe they're also running HRMS or CRM, and maybe they've got the web portal set up for those. Maybe it's a nice, robust and complex setup, and there might be a different cost associated for one that's a little more straightforward. Maybe it's just 5 users for Sage, and that's really all they're running, and Office 365. So to your point, there's a lot of variables, and so we're going to customize that and make sure it's the right environment for the client and price it out accordingly.
I agree with that. I think that one's been answered before, but it just came back again. Servers located in Canada. If I want my data to be in Canada, what are the options?
Yeah, I'll recover that again, absolutely. So in Canada, we're in 2 Azure data center regions. So it is considered the public cloud. So you do get some additional securities and compliance around that. SOC 1, 2, and 3 compliance, HIPAA compliance is available if needed. And so those are in Toronto as the primary data center region and Quebec as the disaster recovery region.
Thank you. Any other typical questions that you get, Sam, that you would want to cover?
Yeah, Office 365 is always a biggie. Microsoft has some licensing requirements for Office 365 that to use it on a cloud-hosted server, it'd be one of their enterprise level subscriptions. So apps for enterprise E3 or E5. So that's always something to keep in mind. If you're on one of the other subscription types, then a little upgrade might be needed, and usually whoever you're getting that licensing from can do that quite seamlessly, or we can help you transfer the tenant to Swizznet, so everything's under one sort of umbrella in terms of billing. And then the other one that we hear pretty frequently that hasn't come up yet today is about using other cloud storage solutions. And so if you're using Dropbox or OneDrive, there are ways to make sure that those drives are mapped and available within the Swissnet environment as well.
Okay, the last sentence kind of faded out. Would you mind repeating it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So if those other types of cloud storage are being leveraged already, there are ways to map those drives within the Swizznet environment so that they're available. So if you're using OneDrive, for instance, you can, if that's how you're doing your file sharing for your business, your workflow doesn't need to change.
Excellent. I got you that. Mike may be having a little bit of an issue there.
Great. Thanks, Will.
Need to run like something like Sage 50 as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, super common. Sage 50 can coexist on the same server with Sage 300. We haven't seen any issues with that. So that would just be a second published application in that. So for instance, 5 and Sage 50 and Sage 300, all of that would be available as applications.
Okay, cool. Mike got muted there. Not sure if he meant to or not, but anyway, I don't see any more questions, and you've kind of gone through. Is there?
And anybody that's interested in getting a personalized quote, we'd be more than happy to speak with you. And the people to contact there are Will or myself. We're both on the line here. And if you have any last questions, we've got a bit of free time. Otherwise, I haven't heard anybody ever complain about a webinar that ends sooner than planned. Any last minute questions? Going once, going twice, sold to the highest bidder. We thank you for your time. Thank you to Swizznet for this brief and concise presentation. Be more than happy to answer any questions you may have outside of this, and the recording will be put on our website shortly. So again, have a great day, everybody. And we'll let you know about our next seminars. And please, if you have any suggestions of topics that are of interest, please send them to us. Thank you. Have a great day.
Perfect. Thanks all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.